What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Come talk some Untouchable talk with us. Let's go. Let's go. This ain't the fuck like force this game, he stinks.
Oh shit!
Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A little bouncy for you. That's what it's called. Welcome in, everybody, to something special. A little HUD Radio, Run It Back Philly collab going on here. We're going to bring it to you every Monday night. We're going to go over the whole Philly landscape. We're going to bitch, moan, and complain about everything. So we welcome you into it. And wherever you're watching from, hit the like, hit the subscribe on both channels. All right, catch our boy DJ over at Run It Back Philly and A2D. Just pound likes and subscribes. That's all we're asking for. It's free to hit I like and subscribe. Welcome in, everybody. Show's going to be brought to you by our doc. Make them yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. That's Ryan Brodo down below. DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly, over to whatever this is, my left or right. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, good to have you. We'll talk confidence level and Jalen Hurts later on in the show. It's fun to dive back in the Eagles, right? We'll get our hopes up and get let down. Eagles 2022 expectations. We'll dive into, discuss. I mean, I'm sky high. I can't wait to talk about it, honestly, and get disappointed both, like we talked about before coming on the show. Well, some Untouchable talk. Tyrese Maxey, is he? Sixers trade rumors, because there's more than just Maxey. Obviously, you have Thybulle mixed into some trade rumors, Tobias. So we'll go over that entire conversation and situation here. And our poll question for tonight is Tyrese Maxey is untouchable. Agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcast, you can catch us there. Download, review. You guys know the deal. We don't got to keep saying it. We don't got to keep pushing it down your throats, but we will. Is he untouchable? Agree or disagree? We talked a little bit about it, right, guys? I mean, it's a weird one because, like, for who? Like, I think you said, right, for like Tatum, obviously. I'll pay for your gas. It's expensive nowadays. I'll pay for it. In terms of, like, the kind of players I'm hearing, yes, he's untouchable. I agree. Because he's so young, and we witnessed him in 1 year get better than most players do their entire career. We saw the jump. The jump's so important from freshman to sophomore years, like I call it. And junior year usually is your coming out party. Hey, everybody, welcome here. I can play. And he already showed he can, but every year he's made that jump. And great, I'm not going to say great scores, damn good scorers in this league through their tenures make that jump into their second season. You can see it on everybody's stat sheet. Go look at it. Right, go look at everybody jump from year 1 to year 2, and then you say, this guy can play. If a guy stays the same, you're like, oh, we'll see. A lot of upside. So you know how that conversation goes. Beansy's so young. Beansy's a guard. It's a guard-driven league. He can create his own shot. He's almost AI quick. I don't want to put him in that conversation, but he's that fast. We talk about it like the Aaron Fox ride back in the day. Like, hey, what translates right away to the NBA game? Can you move? Can you fly? Because that's something that everybody can do. So we see a lot from him. I'm not in the business of wanting to trade a young asset like that right now. That's only shown me in 1 year how much better he's gotten and how much he's willing to work. I mean, listen, I talk to my kids about all the time. Hey, you can have all the talent in the world, but if I hear somebody taking 100 swings, I'm taking 2. right? And if I got a time machine, that's how I would operate. Okay, but I don't have one. But that's how you can operate right now. And when you're talking about a young player like him, how bad do you want it? And how bad do you want to get better at this level? Because a lot of guys get there and they say, hey, this got me here. I'm satisfied. And other guys say, hey, I'm interested in gold jackets. Not saying that it's going to be the case for him. But other guys say, I'm interested in more. I'm interested in championships, gold jackets, etc. I'm interested in being great. And he got better than Benjamin did, the little kitty cat, in 1 year than he did his entire career. So I'm not in the business of trading them. But again, you give me Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Like, I would do some things on some people for those two guys that, are more closed door meetings. But boys, that's what I say. Guys, go ahead, talk about it. Family out there, let us know. I see a lot of comments coming in. We'll get to everybody. We'll get to y'all.
Yeah, I have to go disagree with completely Untouchable. There's only one or two players that I would trade Tyrese Maxey for, and I would cry doing it. I would be so sad, but I want a Sixers parade within my lifetime. And I think, like, knowing Philly sports, I'll probably die without ever seeing a Sixers parade, but I think that Joel Embiid in his prime is the closest we've been since the 80s. Iverson took a team full of Tyrone Hill and Matt Geiger to places he shouldn't have taken them, but I think this is the closest we've ever been, and we're still not like one or two pieces away, but I just, if it could be a player that I would say, wow, that puts us in contention right now, and we thought we traded the guy you just mentioned for somebody that put us in that conversation, and with an entire offseason, his extreme supporters are telling me that with this offseason we're going to see that. I hope they're right, but I wouldn't trade Tyrese Maxey for 99.9% of NBA players, but there's a couple, and there's one that may want out of where he's at that I would say yes to.
Which one's that?
Well, I would say yes to a Bradley Beal sign and trade. A lot of people hate me when I say that, but I would. And I would say yes to Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. That's the one where you can maybe that's the one where I'm like, okay, maybe I
think Donovan Mitchell is what people want Tyrese Maxey to turn into. A 26-point per game scorer that, can go get you a bucket in parts of the game that you need him to go get one. I just think that would be fast-tracking Tyrese Maxey. And then, of course, we would probably see Tyrese Maxey at 28 years old on top of the world and win 6 championships in a row with whatever team he's on. But
Jordan.
he would be he would become the greatest player of all time and have a 19-year NBA career probably.
Yep.
In freaking Utah, of all places.
Yeah. Skiing, enjoying the weather. Now.
Yeah. It's so tough, DJ, and I heard you talking about it on your show earlier, and I didn't like what you were saying. You know why I didn't like it? Because what you were saying about the Donovan Mitchell eventually being, or him being what we eventually want Tyrese Maxey to be, I didn't like it because it made sense. And you mentioned it before we went on the air about how we like to in Philadelphia get attached to certain athletes. Most of them suck. They're in a weird category that they're just no-name players that we think are great and we just get attached to them. This is the one guy of the few that, hey, he can actually play. Hey, he actually encompasses what we love in a player, both work ethic, actually trying into Game 7 when 95%, if not 99% of his entire roster didn't, and also getting better. When a 6'11" point guard Australian, had way more talent coming out, and he got worse instead of gotten better. But that's beside the point. The Donovan Mitchell thing is so tough for me because we go with this, timeline with Joel Embiid. It's okay, well, we can't really afford to wait another 3-4 years for Tyrese Maxey to eventually blossom into that fully fledged, all-star superstar. because nobody's expecting him. While we've seen it rare times before and he's gotten a lot better, we're not expecting him to reach his full potential at 22. Like, he took a huge jump in year 2. He really never showed any signs of that sophomore slump. So it's crazy to think, hey, he's going to do that again in year 3. Would it be shocking? No, because of the work ethic and what he's shown already. But the Mitchell thing is interesting because he fits that age. He fits something that we need. He's a little bit worse of a shooter, but also it's a bigger sample size. Like, we saw how good Tyrese Maxey got, shooting wise just in one season. Now we can see, can he grow on it or just sustain it? I disagree with you on the Bradley Beal thing. The Bradley Beal, and Tom, you and I have talked about this a lot. I think I've done a complete 180 in the last 12 months on the Bradley Beal stuff. I don't know if it's the fact that he's a little bit older or he gets banged up at the end of the season. It just makes me really nervous. It makes me really nervous making that trade. And also, I just think I don't even know if he's available. I mean, he decides every other day whether or not, I want to leave. Oh, I want to stay. So he needs to make that decision on his own. And that's kind of the same thing with Dame. Like, I feel like it's been 30 years since we had like the Damian Lillard discussion. But like, I've seen his name be brought up, which again is kind of in the same category because Portland, comes out today. Oh, they're going to build around Dame. Well, A, you've been trying that for 10 years. And 2, is Dame going to be Harden where like he comes back and he's on the wrong side of the injury bug and he can't play anymore? Because Dame's, I forget how old Dame is. What is he, 31, 30, 32?
Maybe 32.
So like an undersized guard that's already in his lower 30s, that would make me nervous too. But, to your point, Tom, if a Tatum magically became available or a Jalen Brown or something crazy, then yeah, you'll have my attention. But I see nothing wrong with keeping him, having Harden for one more year, and then kind of turning the leaf over to having Maxey be that second full-fledged star along with Embiid once Harden gets out of here, and hopefully they don't sign him to another 5 years.
Well, listen, it's as simple as this, right? You can go make a trade and trade Maxey for Mitchell, and I'm not going to be the guy, yelling and screaming that that's a bad move, right? I'm not going to be. That'd be like fanboying it. But what I will say is, your second guy, when your main guy's as good as he is and as great as he is, your second guy doesn't have to hit his full potential yet. He just has to be damn good. Make sense? So, like, yes, are my other guys more polished? Sure, absolutely. They absolutely are. Their game is what their game is, right? When I got a kid like this, I'm just, we've gone all in on so much to try to put everything around him and it hasn't worked. I'm willing. I want to run this back. And what I mean by running it back is I got to figure out some things. If I have to trade the bias, listen, I guess I will, right? For the right deal. I'm not just looking. I said it this year. Like, I'm not looking to trade Tobias Harris because he knows his role. He's going to play great defense, right? He's going to be that guy. Oh, one night he gives you 22 and he shoots well, and you're like, well, I got Tobias, and then we boo him, right? And then we boo him. So I mean,
and we boo him.
I just want some chemistry for a second, right? When we lost Jimmy, we might have won it all the next year if we just ran it back, right? And we didn't. And in the NBA, you name me a deadline deal that's ever won anybody anything. That is a star. It just doesn't work that way. It needs time to it's like a flower, right? I mean, you got to plant it, you got to water it a little bit, and then it'll grow for you if it's the right fit. Okay, and gets the right sunlight. But at the end of the day, like, I wouldn't be mad at Mitchell. But again, he doesn't shoot as well as Maxey does. I need to space the floor for Joel. But at the end, my last thing about it is that none of it matters. Like, if we had Donovan Mitchell this year and Joel went down, we're not winning. All right. No. If we had Bradley Beal and Joel went down, we're not winning. So the only hope we have, the winning, is this kid become better than both of them. That's the only shot. So there's still there's still a silver lining here. Like, maybe this kid can be better. I'm not going to go out and guarantee that, but by his work ethic and his abilities, what he's shown me, there's nothing stopping him from being better than Donovan Mitchell. What Donovan Mitchell want? You know what I mean? With all due respect to Donovan, because he's a hell of a player. What's he want?
The Jazz are literally, correct me if I'm wrong, they're Sixers West, and that's what I was going to bring up also. And again, I don't know whose fault it is. Like, I think we've all been kind of in the same boat of our opinions of Rudy Gobert. Like, First off, if I'm Utah, unless Donovan is trying to pull like a Ben Simmons, where like he's never going to play in Utah ever again, I am not trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. I'm trying to trade Rudy Gobert. But like when you look at that entire Utah Jazz team, they had one of, at least on paper, one of the better rosters in the West the last handful of years. And they've gotten nowhere with it. So I look at them, I'm like, okay, well, clearly something's up with that. I'm not taking a piece of like the Warriors culture. And again, I'm not saying that has anything to do with Donovan. It's a whole team thing. It could be the coach. He could be, a Doc Rivers light. Who knows? I do want to point out this one thing, DJ. I don't know if you noticed this. Did Nick Sirianni us a second ago talking about the flowers, the blossoming, the fertilizer? Did you Nick Sirianni?
Yeah. Give us a diagram. It's like a flower.
It's a flower. Yep.
Here's the soil.
Yeah, I just didn't do rock, paper, scissors tonight yet. I'll do that.
No.
Pat, thanks for the super chat, brother. We appreciate it. He says, go collab stream. And we see a lot of people commenting in on the same stuff. Mark, what's up, brother? He said, this is lit. HED and Eastwood love it. I figured you guys would.
I think I wouldn't be shocked at all if Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, he blew my mind in one offseason, like with being the third highest 3-point percentage in the entire NBA after shooting 29% last year, and I think 29% at Kentucky. And his work ethic is insane. And I've read everything about his childhood, his upbringing. He's just basketball 24/7. Like there's already pictures of him in the gym, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready for the pictures of James Harden, the guy that we need to be in the gym. But there's already pictures of him in the gym. His work ethic is insane. I wouldn't be totally shocked if he is a star next year at 22 years old, or very, very close to it. I feel like I want to give him more time, and I don't know if we have more time. But I would be like ecstatic either way, kind of. If it's one of those two guys, or if we keep Maxey, I'd be like, yay, either way. Obviously, having Maxey for the future is something you want also, because if this process turns out to be a big giant failure and nothing came of it at all, at least you still have Tyrese Maxey. So I totally understand why people don't want to do it that way either. A lot of this for me depends on what Mr. Harden looks like next season. Because with him not stepping up in these important playoff games this past offseason, you really needed that other guy. And I just think Tyrese Maxey in that role and in being as young as he is, he was just a little bit inconsistent. And he fed off the home crowd a lot. And then when he'd play in the away arenas, he would really get shy and timid and not take as many shots and not look as confident. So I love the kid, but yeah, man. And I also think Bradley Beal, playing in Washington his whole career, I just think that dude, if he's on a team with Embiid and Embiid's getting double teamed, triple teamed in the fourth quarter, Bradley Beal's dropping 40. I really feel like that. And I haven't seen a scorer like that in a Sixers uniform since 2001. So I would be happy either way, but Maxey's my guy though.
Yeah, it's weird because like everything revolves around praying whoever you pray to for Joel Embiid's help. I mean, it's like anything, nothing else matters, unless Maxey becomes Kobe. Like nothing else matters. Like James Harden is what he is. Like you talked about DJ. You just talked about Maxey being in the gym, probably, right? Well, Harden wasn't the other night because he racked up let me make sure I get $167,000 club bill the other night. So.
See, yeah. that video came out, and people were telling me that video was from years ago, and then I went to the Instagram guy that posted it, and it seemed like it was new.
5/22/22, $51,000 for a Clase Azul Reposado.
Where'd you get this information?
This is from NBA News and Videos. Ace of Spades Rose cost $6.4K. A water bucket, 39 waters. That just ran you $2,900. I mean, $2,900 for 39 waters. I mean, that water better. I mean, my hamstring better feel delicious after that water. Like
it might be from the fountain of youth, friggin' water. My God.
So just to let everybody know, I'm not saying the video is old. I'm not looking at the video because Teddy said the video is old. I'm looking at the pic. EDC Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, listen. I brought up a point that a lot of people hated too. Yeah, he played. He seemed to play pretty good in Philly in the playoffs, and then as soon as we went down to Miami, Mr. Harden looked about 57 years old on the court. Do you think you can even put that guy close to Miami and have him go to bed at 9:00?
And the answer is no. And I talked to somebody like that's more on the baseball side of things about this, and they said, "Why do you think the Phillies never play well in Miami?" And he said, "Why do you think most teams don't go play well when they go down to Miami?" Because these guys like to enjoy themselves, and I get it. I get it.
See rich celebrities in Miami. I mean,
but I mean, I see the. We all see the videos on the beaches. I mean, we see what's around. We see the window shopping you can do if you're a taken man, right? And if you're an untaken man, go enjoy yourself. But
I wouldn't be in the gym either.
Like I mean, all jokes aside, like I believe everybody on this stream would. I believe everybody watching would, because they know how big of a moment it is. But when a guy tells you in a post-game interview or whatever it was, or before the playoffs, that he doesn't feel any pressure by the postseason, nothing's different, I would say then go smack yourself in the face, because there's a lot different. Where would you like us to start? Right, where the mental side of sports, these guys sometimes take for granted. They take for granted. Like I tell some of my lessons, I might just get a couch in here. I might just get a couch, right? Like I'm your therapist now. You're just paying me. You're paying. It's the truth, though. Like when you got talent, it's not about your physical abilities anymore. It's about your mental makeup. It truly is. That's what separates greatness. It's what separates it. The NBA lied to us, telling us he's a top 75 player. I feel like we felt like I'm out here doing videos thinking I got a Kobe and Shaq light, like a light, not Kobe and Shaq, but a light. Because every time we never got a chance to talk about it, but every time you pair a great guard with a great big man in this league, great things have happened. But the problem is he wasn't great, and the other guy was a puppy. But guess what? That other kid has now been in the postseason 2 years in a row. That matters for Tyrese Maxey. That matters if we want him to be that second guy. Because screw Harden. We need that guy to be the other guy.
Well, okay, so the Harden defenders basically tell me that he was still injured, or his hamstring was injured. And I asked this guy straight up, the guy that called the show to defend him. I said, okay, so he was good for the first 4 games he was in Philly, and then he ran the stairs in the arena after the game. Was he injured then, or did he re-injure it? Yeah. Like, I don't understand. It just seems like they're reaching to me. He's just out of shape. I don't think he's injured.
It's so tough. Yeah, I honestly think it's a combo. And Tom,
or he's just a loser. Sorry, right? Or he's just a loser.
You're fine. Yeah.
Perennial loser. Some guys got a stench of losing that you'll never get off. Like you can take 10 million showers. You go to the Fountain of Youth. You can dive into the Fountain of Youth, and that stench is not coming off of you. And that's just the way it goes for some guys.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, Tom knows this as much as anybody, that I'm probably one of the bigger Harden defenders, at least at A2D. Like I was begging for them to trade for Harden last season, which thank God we didn't, because Maxey would have most likely have been in the deal. But even like there's a line like to everything. So do I think he was 100%? No. But to your point, DJ, was that because he was out of shape? Was it because he was injured? Was it because of both? Was it because of the clubs? Was it because of the how much was that bill, Tom? How much money?
$167,000.
Yes, that's just too much. Like whatever the reason was, he clearly wasn't himself. He clearly wasn't, Houston Harden. He clearly wasn't Brooklyn Harden. Whatever that meant, because I feel like we saw like 7 versions of the Brooklyn James Harden. Yeah. So there's a line to everything. And listen, as much as I thought, hey, pairing a really good guard, a facilitator, somebody who averaged more assists and was more of a threat on both sides than a Ben Simmons, with a Joel Embiid, who's a perennial MVP candidate, should have been the MVP. Yeah, you would expect that to work, especially since one of them gets to the line the most in the league. The other one gets the free throw line third most in the league. So Tom and I were joking, like, how could it not work? Well, one, it's Philadelphia, and 2, one had a broken face. The other one clearly wasn't himself.
Yeah, that's slander. That's slander. I'll literally take. I would fight somebody in the street for the Joel slander. Like, there's not a lot of guys think I would fight over sports for. But like, if somebody like in the bar was like, that guy's soft, I'll smack your beer bottle off your face. Like, I'll just smack it and say, now you go play tomorrow. That's what I'll say now. Now you go pick up a ball. I'll meet you at the local YMCA, and I'll run you for all your money. All right, because you won't be able to play, losers.
Tom, we were live on the air right after they got eliminated, and I was getting texts from family members talking about, oh, Embiid's Mr. Softy, all that, and I literally said, I'm like the people talking that like, oh, he's Mr. Softy, oh, he's soft, oh, he's a baby, he's whining, he's moping around. Those are the same people that if they had half of the injury Embiid had, they wouldn't be getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Because if I had half the injury, I'm not getting out of bed. Like me, I'm putting myself in the category.
Oh, us males, we'll milk it.
Yes.
And people don't even think about all the things that go into that facial fracture that he had. Like, he could be having migraines. He could be having blurred vision in the middle of a game. There's so many things he could have been dealing with, and he didn't say any of that in a post game. He just gets up there and says, I didn't do enough. And then, I mean, he kind of calls out the organization for not giving him any players. But I just think too many people want to point fingers. It's the same thing happened with Ben refusing to shoot. They would be like, well, Joel was 5 for 39,000. I'm like, that's better than 0 for 0. I have a guy that's trying and a guy who's quitting. How are we slandering the guy that's trying?
Exactly.
Yeah, guy couldn't look at his phone, like Matt says, right? I mean, it's just, there's facts, though. Like, he has to start staying healthy. And he did it for another full season, which is great, right? We get to the full season of Joel being healthy, and now we've got it hit us in the biggest time of the year, which comes the postseason, right? And that's the thing. We have to get over that hump now. And I believe we will, because I believe he conditions himself better and better every year. I truly believe it. People say he's out of shape, and I laugh at it. Like, are you 7'1", 280, babe? Because like, have you seen that guy? Like, people used to say about Ryan Howard. I'd be like, do you ever see videos of him with his shirt off in a locker room? And you tell me that's out of shape, bud? I mean, I see what I'm looking at with you, all right? And you tell me that's out of shape? So I sort of laugh at that with players sometimes. Now, Harden's out of shape, all right? But, Joel, I mean, look at the tone, right? I know a guy works and fights lions if that tone is cut. And he's cut.
27.20. That's how long it took for the Lions comment to go. 27.20.
Do you think? I think he played a lot of games this season, the most he's played in his career. I'm pretty sure, because he wanted the MVP so bad. Do you think he should have been load managed more? My guy Romp was like, I don't ever want to see Joel in another back-to-back because I just want to get to the playoffs and have 100% Joel Embiid. I don't care about the regular season. The NBA's already been exposed as far as the regular season goes. Nobody cares about, except for about 42 games, and the other teams really just load manage everybody the whole year.
Go ahead, Ryan.
In principle, it makes sense, right? Because in theory, the less games you play in the regular season, less chance you're going to get hurt. But I feel like we've seen that with Embiid, like in seasons where they've load managed or he hasn't played as many games. He just gets hurt in the playoffs anyway, whether it's gastroenteritis or a shoulder or a back or a knee or a face or everything and in between. I feel like it's kind of like there is no solution to it. There is no right way. It's kind of like, hey, just wind them up, let them go, and throw in a couple prayer services every once in a while to keep the guy healthy. And that's basically it. Like, there really isn't a right answer to, if you're going to load manage him or if you're going to play him full throttle, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, could you argue that the finger injury was more so his fault? Sure, because he wasn't elbowed in the head. That didn't cause a finger injury. But the same thing is like, okay, if we would have load managed during the year, that's not going to keep Pascal Siakam from elbowing him in the face. Like, that just happened. True. So it's just one of those things. It's just a luck thing. And I hate siding on luck because I feel like that's a cop-out. But really, we just got to pray that this guy finally stays healthy and everything clicks. That's the only chance we have, and it sucks.
Yeah, and I feel like he did, like somebody said he did play the most games. Our superhero said he did play the most games of his career, too, so to confirm that with us. But, see, like, that's the thing about the regular season. DJ, you're right. It, like, doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter what seed you are. Right, just get in and you can, and get ready to go. But my whole problem with that is the conditioning side and sometimes being stronger. Like, I don't need you playing 82, but I feel like I need you to play 70. So, okay, how can I work in those 12 to help him? Or, okay, you can miss 14 and play 68, right? Like, I think there's the numbers like I would like to be around. I think if you, like, we're not saying this, but if he was playing like 50 games, I got a little bit of a problem with that. That's a little too managed because, like, how good is he going to be in the postseason? Like, we watched him the first round versus Toronto, and that looked, honestly, like the best shape and the strongest legs I've seen from Joel in his career in the postseason. So, and that's with playing the most games. So some of that is like the endurance side of like a runner, because basketball players are essentially just like runners. I mean, your cardio needs to be great. So does it affect it playing like 50? Which, like, if it doesn't affect it, then I'm like, sign me up for 50 and keep the dogs off him a little bit. But then again, for him, he wants to play.
Yeah, he's not going to agree to it, basically. Yeah. I remember that minutes restriction, like his first year, that minutes restriction when he was on the kicking the bench because he wasn't allowed to play in overtime.
Yeah. Listen, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and wherever you're watching us at, hit the like and subscribe, and throw super chats in. We would love to be able to pay a bill like Harden for 167. So drop in the super chats, become a member on both channels, A2D and Run It Back Philly, and stay with us. Enjoy it because we'll be here every Monday night at 10, collabing with you. And the comments are flying. The people are loving it.
So what do you guys want to see with James Harden? Because I think I heard Brian say, hopefully we don't give him a super max. Like, I want to know what you guys, Tom, you call him basically a loser, and I do also. I'm hoping that I see something different next year. Are you guys on that optimism, or are you like, no, screw James Harden completely, don't give him anything?
No, I give him like whatever under a max is, so I still have slots open and money. Like, I got no problem giving the guy a 2 or 3 year deal. In terms of, like, I don't know what, the NBA numbers I'm not like locked into, but 20, 22 million a year, maybe. I don't know what the max would be for this year. I would have to look that up, but something like 8, 10 million under the max, but maybe a 4th year option team wise. That's big time money. Maybe so the way you can, whatever way you can work it out by giving him like 2 or 3, maybe 3 years, but not having the max money.
I look, and I'm trying to keep.
He's a loser, but I can't replace him, right? So I just got to hope he becomes a great facilitator, and can just have the threat of shooting, because at least he has that.
I'm trying to keep it as realistic as possible because, Tom, I think we would all agree that, if we had any control of this and Daryl Morey wasn't like the Godfather, not the Godfather, but like the Godfather, James Harden, like he's going to watch over his child. I think it's safe to say a majority of us would kind of wash our hands of it. Not that, Harden's washed or anything. I think, and we've talked about this before, Tom, what he is, even when he struggled, his floor right now is a good player. He's still a good player. You can still facilitate, do all that, but that's not worthy of a max contract or anything close to it, to your point, Tom. So, like, I try and mixture, like, what he's truly worth versus, what he would honestly take. So, like, the night we were eliminated, he talks about, hey, I'm going to be here, but I'm willing to take whatever's best for the team. Okay. Well, if I factor both of those things in, I kind of look at the Kyle Lowry deal. I believe that was 3 years, 90. That I would do in 5 seconds. Whether he would do it or not, I think that he wants more assurances in years. So then it goes to, is that 4 years, 110, 4 years, 115? Because then you're looking closer to the Al Horford contract as far as money in years. I'm not doing 5 years under any circumstance. I don't care what the money is.
5.
I think
5.
What?
I mean, you should not be allowed to be an executive. Like, you should be like, what, you're a G League exec, bud. All right, we're gonna send you down. We're gonna demote you. I mean, if somebody in basketball gave that guy 5 years, wow. I mean, you must be the biggest dry jock in the country.
Well, that's what the Supermax would entail, right? It would be a 5 year. Yeah. So like, so
it would pay him $62 million when he's 37.
You gotta check your pulse. Are you even breathing given that deal? Like, when you go, does everybody sign off on that? Like, I gotta believe if I'm in that room, I'm flipping out. I'll be like, I might get fired. Does anybody know basketball around here? Like, anybody? Does the guy sleep in a hyperbaric every day? like what? I doubt it. I got 10 strippers on top of him. Which isn't. I mean,
the thing is, so he has a player option for $47 million. So he would have to agree to waive that and take a lesser contract. And the question is, does he enjoy spending $170,000 in a strip club, or does he want to win at basketball? And I just see his lifestyle, and I say he wants to spend $170,000 in a club. He's taking his $47 million.
Yeah, it's tough because I know, like, I'm not like looking like Don was joking with Tom saying like he was lurking and checking out what Harden's doing. Like, I don't know every business plan that Harden has, but I know he has stuff outside of basketball, like with restaurants, and I'm sure one or two of them are strip clubs because, of course, that would be very on brand. But I think it would make most sense. And tell me if you guys would, if you would do it both as a, Sixers perspective and if you're Harden, if you're matching kind of that 3 years 90, 3 years 95, that first year, it could be more money. Like, say that first year you're getting paid 35, and then it kind of goes down every year a little bit as you get older. So it's like, hey, we're going to give you the most up front, and we're going to give you, say, for example, we'll help you in the back end with the fourth year, okay? We'll give you an option just because. But it's going to get less and less as you age, because as you age, there's going to be a point in 2 years where we have to now pay Maxey. So, like,
it's just incentives. You make the contract work off incentives. He takes less money, and he has more built-in incentives that ownership pays. It's almost like the way you recruit in college football, right? Like, okay, you don't necessarily have to give a guy a max, but you can have great built-in incentives that are going to get that guy close to his money back, right? And then the other side of it, that these guys make so much money off endorsements. It's not just like, what's his shoe deal worth? Probably worth more than his contract will ever be. So for him to say before this year that he would, when he got traded here, right, that he brought it up about playing for less money. That was his words. Yes. It was towards the end of the year, not mine. So to me, he gives off the persona that he wants to win. So we're going to find out, right? I mean, hey, would a real James stand up? Because if he takes less, that to me, that's a guy I want back, because that guy is trying to win.
Yeah,
and being unselfish, and that would be to mean a lot to this basketball team moving forward, and us as fans as well.
I think he should be, even if he is more focused on the money, he should be interested in getting his game back for the next 4 or 5 years. Also, if he wants to continue to keep shoe deals going for that long and get another at least big contract in the NBA, and especially if he enjoys spending that much money on a weekend. It should be in his best interest because if he falls off completely, then there's no NBA money. And is there even a shoe deal if James Harden is done? I mean, it's not like they're Jordans. It's not like anybody's looking at the shoes saying, "Oh my God, I need the James Harden 3s."
Yep.
Nobody cares.
I need the beer 12s.
To be honest with you, I didn't even know he had a shoe. I didn't even know he had a shoe deal. Like, that's how
they all do.
Oh, I know they do. Yeah. Because to your point,
remember Starberries? Remember the Starberries?
Oh, I love the Starberries.
Delicious. Wilson had like 45 pairs of them. I mean, Wilson was like,
they were $17, I think.
They were delicious. Oh my goodness! It was like, enjoy yourself. I could buy a pair of AIs that cost me 120. I could buy 45 pairs of the Starberries.
I remember going to the freaking the store across the street from the Defert Mall when I was like 7. Like, oh my God, I have to get the Starberries. Man, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, Jake said he signed a 13-year. I mean, look at it. I mean, a 13-year, $200 million deal with Adidas in 2015. So, I mean, money is not an issue for these guys. And I'm saying, like, I would get. You know what? You make it work for a guy, and this is going like off the deep end with it a little bit. But you give him 4 years. You give him 4 years, and you give him 25 a year. Right? Or you give him 22 a year, somewhere around there, and you give him the extra year. Like, you ain't going to make that. We know you ain't going to make that in your fourth anyway. So this is where we're going to tickle your balls for a minute. And that's how you make it work at the table.
Yeah, and like I said, if you want to make the first year, say, for example, the average is 25 for the 4 years, but you want that first year to be closer to 30, 32, fine. Like, you want your money up front. That way you're not taking the quote-unquote the hit in the pocket from going from a projected, what was it, DJ? A 46.7 opt-in?
Yeah.
So
46%,
instead of going from a $46.7 million opt-in to a 22, okay, you're going from 46.7 to 31. It's crazy that we're talking about that because I would take $2 million. You know what I'm saying? Just talking like it's strict, like, oh, you really got to take a huge pay cut, James. I'm so sorry. Then you have to go down to 32
Only $32 million
yeah,
in a
like,
year.
you should be. Shame on us for talking about him taking a pay cut.
Yeah,
But no,
it's really amazing. These guys get paid so much money.
Both of your points, he left Houston, his words, not ours, because he wanted to win. He left Brooklyn, his words, because he wanted to win. He wants to stay and help the team because he wants to win. That's the only thing in his career and in his life he hasn't done yet. One, top 75 player of all time, MVP, one of the greatest scorers, obviously not in Philly, because why would he be a great scorer in Philly? But in Houston, he was one of the greatest scorers, that we've seen. What I've definitely seen, I think any of us have ever seen. Yeah. So he has all of the accolades. If you want to win, James, you have to take a little bit less because I'm sorry, if he opts into 46.7, you have to trade Tobias Harris then. Because then if you have a max slot in Tobias Harris, who I think is going to be making close to 34, 35, 36, like he's going to be making a lot. His money's going to be going up this year. You have Embiid, who clearly makes a lot, and then Harden all the way up to 46.7. You're not going to be able to rebuild an entire bench. And we all know this bench needs a lot of work. Like, this isn't like, oh, add 2 pieces. No, this is like get rid of 5 and add 4. You also need a small forward because we had like the worst small forward situation I've ever seen. A guy who ran like he was 90 and Mattise Thybulle, who we know he can't play basketball. Hopefully the Chicago Bulls don't realize he can't play basketball.
Well, that was going to be my next thing. I mean, they're talking, the trade comes out, possibility of like Matisse to Chicago. I don't know what was mentioned getting back in that deal. Where do you get back in that deal? And who else was involved in it? You guys know?
It was.
Don't start.
I was reading an article in the stream from a Chicago sports writer, and he was saying Kobe White, and he was saying I don't know what else he was saying. Maybe just draft compensation. He didn't name like Zach LaVine or anything like that for Mattise Thybulle. He was just saying that the Chicago's defense could take a major leap if they added to
everybody.
That's adorable.
Everybody around them. Watch them play with your eyeballs. Watch them play with your eyeballs, you analytical nerds. Watch them play with your eyeballs. Everybody runs past them. Everybody gets by.
So don't watch him play. No, don't watch him play.
No, you don't. Now. Don't ever. Do not pull up his highlight package, please.
Like I said, he played 25. He played 25 minutes per game. He could get beat 100 times and not shoot and be a total negative on the offensive side and ruin the spacing and everything. As long as he got 2 blocks and 2 steals in that 25 minutes, he's a second-team All-NBA. So just stare at the stats and give us like things in return because we've seen it now.
I'll stand on it. I'll stand up on top of this mountaintop and I'll tell people all they want that White to me has always been better than LaVine. He just hasn't got the shot to be better. And if you were giving me Matisse, if I could get a scorer that I think he's capable of being for in the right situation, given time, and White, I think it's gigantic. Like either you bring Maxey or White off your bench as your 6th man, and now you're getting instant offense. Your bench just got that much better. So now when you go on the road where benches really matter, all right, now you're walking into 15-20. So if I had a combo of White and Shake off my bench, I'm feeling really good about my guard play, the ability to score the basketball off my bench. I don't care what else you run out there. I mean, you can just run out guys, just run up and down the court because my guards can score enough. And that right there makes you a better basketball team immediately. I'll walk Matisse to Chicago in the winter for that deal.
It's the only other name I could think of that would be, that wouldn't be a flashy move with Chicago. I know Patrick Williams has been floated out there because they tried attaching him in a deal to get Jeremy Grant from the Detroit Pistons at the deadline last year. Now, granted, I think Patrick Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was the 4th overall pick a few years ago. So, they would really have to be down on him, but I know they've been willing to attach him to different moves. And clearly, listen, their GM was apparently, huge in him coming to the Sixers, Mattise Thybulle, that is. Kobe White, I would take it 5 seconds for Mattise Thybulle. There's a lot of things I would take for Mattise Thybulle that are way less of players than Kobe White. Because, like we said, I just don't think Mattise Thybulle was very good. He's gotten worse on offense. I think he's gotten worse on defense, which I think people were finally kind of catching up to. That, yeah, he might have a couple deflections or a steal or a block, but he'll also have 3 quick fouls because he can't keep anybody in front of him, and he's literally reaching in every time. So, like that headline that you read earlier, DJ, like, oh, the Chicago Bulls defense is going to get instantly better. First off, that's adorable. Two, no, the headline should say it's not going to get any better. You're going to be thinking it should get better because, oh my God, you're adding a second team all defensive player. But really what's going to happen is your offense is going to get way worse. You're going to be in worse foul trouble. And you think you have spacing issues now? Give it 6 months. You'll be begging to come back to what you had this season. That's what the headline should be. And when I was grinning what you said when you brought up LaVine, Tom, the only way, and listen, you know I'm a LaVine guy. I don't pull the trigger on that. Like I'm good on the LaVine stuff, which I know is probably shocking for you to hear, because it would be Tobias, it would be Thybulle, and it would probably be a pick. And listen, on paper, what he gives you as a scorer, sure, but what is he playing the 3? Like, because I'm not bringing in LaVine to have Tyrese come off the bench.
Why not? I'm gonna play devil's advocate with you right now. Why not? Because now you're benching. Now he's 6th man of the year.
Fair, yeah, he would play the Tyler Hero role.
It makes it deep.
Yeah, less pressure on him too to just come out and do your thing and not really be, hey, you have to go out there and facilitate. You have to do this. You have to do that.
DJ, I hate LaVine. So I mean,
I'm shocked that you're on this side, Tom.
Well, no, I'm not even on the side. I'm making the point to the other guard, like whatever guard it would be, right? Like for Tobias, like if it's Beal or whatever, name a guard, right? That okay, that instantly makes your bench what we need it to be, where you got a guy to come off your bench and drop 20. So, or maybe you can come off your bench a couple of nights and maybe drop 25, 30. It gives you that instant offense, and it gives you more scoring offensively. So it's like sort of what direction do you want to go? Like LaVine's not nowhere near good of a defender is Tobias Harris. Nowhere, not even close. I think he's a perennial loser, to be honest with you. He can score the basketball, I get it. Sometimes he's a volume guy at times. I don't know. He's like weird to me. He's weird to me. Every time we play him, he stinks. So like I get that stench that he's a loser, and that's why I've always been a sort of a hater on him. And the same thing a little bit with Beal too, because I know he hasn't had a lot, but once you get those years and years of losing in your DNA, it's hard to change it.
It's tough because what we saw of LaVine last season, I don't think was truly him because he was playing with a knee injury. So
the legal team. I feel like there was a legal team. I feel like the legal team jumped in. You know what I mean? I felt like that was like the Harden legal team. Like, look at that.
Well, see, now I'm coming back around. Reverting. So like, because the biggest thing that I was critical of him with this year was that he shot them out of a ton of games, mostly against the Sixers. You know, he couldn't make anything. But then I realized, okay, well, he really couldn't use that athleticism, and he kind of just had to be that stand-up three-point shooter because of the knee. And 40 boy, I saw your chat. I'm not saying that Thybulle was Jeremy Grant. I'm saying that they tried trading for Jeremy Grant last year. That's the only reason why I brought up Jeremy Grant. Now, if I ever compared the two, kick me off the show 20 minutes ago, please. Yeah, like no,
40 boy, appreciate it too. Appreciate
but thank
it.
you for chiming in. No, he's not Jeremy Grant, nor will he ever be Jeremy Grant.
So do you guys got anything Sixers, or you guys want to like shift over to the Birds a little bit? What do you guys want to do here?
I want to first, I think, are you guys assuming that we're definitely bringing back Tobias Harris? Because I think that's a major piece in this offseason that he's gonna be out of here. Because I just think the money doesn't add up to what is his performance. He's a 17-point per game player making LeBron James money. I'm just saying, if he has any trade value at all and you can get somebody else to take that contract, I think you have to do it. I like Tobias Harris as a third or fourth option, but if you're paying that much money for a third or fourth option, does it really make sense?
You know, you're 100% spot on, DJ. And Kane, I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm saying I do that deal. I have to. I have to. There's reasons why I have to. I don't have to like it. I don't like James Harden. I've yelled and screamed about him. I wouldn't trade the loser Ben for him last trade deadline because I felt like the one guy was definitely a loser. I was unsure about the other guy. I felt like he was. But I wasn't.
I was with it too.
He was a little younger, and I'm like, I know this other guy's a loser. So that's why I was out on that deal. But like, this is where I'll come around to things. If it's the benefit, I think it can make my team better. And Levine paired up with Harden and Maxey off your bench makes you better. So now who's my 4? Right. There's other question marks, obviously, starting wise, but there are things you might be able to do. And then if Harden takes less money. So now you're all in to win. And I think Joel would like to play with Levine. I feel like they seem to have a decent relationship, at least after games, little things like that I see. But I mean, that's a deal I think I have to make. Like I think I'm forced to.
Yeah, I think you would probably have to do that deal. And then I guess your power forward, I guess on paper, it would be Patrick Williams at the start, but I think then it would probably lead to us getting, a lower level veteran, maybe somewhere around like anywhere from like $3 to $6 million, like a name that stood out to me, regardless of what they do with Tobias, because he can play both the 4 and the 3, would be like a Nicholas Batum. From the Clippers, I believe he's either restricted or he's flat out unrestricted this offseason. And he was getting paid like $3 million this year. So like a name like that would make sense after you made a move like that, Tom, in the comments. But it's tough because
and you get younger too with Williams. Not that Thybulle's not young, but I feel like with Levine's younger than Tobias, right?
I think he's 28, I want to say, Levine.
Is he the same age?
Yeah, he was right around Karl Anthony Towns. When they had that 3 of Wiggins, Towns, and Levine. Not old, but yeah, he's definitely probably 28, I would guess.
26. About to be 27, I guess. So a little bit younger. Williams gives you some toughness, I feel like, a little bit. He's shown he can shoot the 3 a little bit better. He shot he only averaged about 2 a game this year, but he shot it around 50%. So he gives you a little bit of a stretch. He rebounds. I think that's a fine piece to go along with it. But I mean, with Don Vito, I'll ask you this real quick and then go. Levine isn't with it either, Tom. He's always hurt too. Pass. I get it. But is Tobias a winner? He plays winning basketball, but is he a winner? Man, the way these guards are in this league, I gotta be able to score the basketball at an elite rate. I mean, that's my shot. We've ran it with defense. We went all palms up. Remember Sports Illustrated cover? Palms up, and we couldn't score. At some point, I got to be an elite scoring team. Do you guys watch
Bully ball? Yeah, I'm ready to just outscore teams. Like
watch the Warriors.
Exactly.
Well,
even when we lost to the Atlanta Hawks, I said to people, what elite defender did they have? They beat us by outscoring us.
I think the question we got to ask ourselves.
I got to go pee, guys, so I'll be right back. Sorry.
You're fine. The Levine Tobias Harris thing is who has a better chance of being that solidified, consistent second star along with Joel Embiid. Like I'm taking Maxey and Harden completely out of the equation because we know there's going to be nights where. Well, unfortunately, there'll probably be a lot of nights where Harden can't be that second scorer. And Maxey, again, as much as we love him and we think that he's closer to being untouchable than not, he's going to be 22. He's going to be 22. Yeah. So, DJ, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we know the answer to whether or not Tobias can be that consistent secondary scorer, and the answer is no. He's a good number 3.
He has to feed off of other players drawing defenses and stuff. Once it's down to Tobias in an ISO 1-on-1, he can't beat anybody. Mm-hmm. And then he just ends up with this back down from the 3-point line, taking 20 seconds off the shot clock to shoot a contested fadeaway.
Yeah, and Tom and I had that same discussion a couple weeks ago because it was his second year. It was in between his first and second year. It was after the 7-bounce Kawhi, that year. And what he did that offseason, he gained about 10, 15 pounds because he wanted to get better on defense because when he came here, his defense wasn't good at all. So when he did that, that's when he became just a full-time power forward, even though the following year Brett Brown thought it was a good idea to bring in Al Horford and then play a slower, thicker Tobias Harris, pause, at the 3, what he gained on defense, he was hurt on offense because of how slow he got. He's just an old man. That's just he's an old man game.
Yep.
To answer your question though, with Tobias, and it's funny, like once I get back, like with my computer and everything, I have like a full list. So I'll save this for next week. I have like 10 supposed Tobias Harris trades and like what a Tobias Harris trade will look like. So I'll
Nice.
save that for next week if you want. I think the best plan, okay, if Harden opts in and, Embiid's the same and we don't trade Tobias, or I'm sorry, we don't trade Tyrese, I don't think the best move at hand is going out and making a splashy move. I think it's, hey, finding some guys who can actually play off of your bench. Hey, getting somebody who's better than a Paul Reed and a Charles Bassey, and please God, get DeAndre Jordan and Millsap off the floor. Like, fill in the pieces. Because, I hate playing like the woulda, coulda, shoulda game, but literally if you had 3 guys off of your bench that knew how to play basketball, and you didn't have a big man with a broken face, and you had a couple other pieces, you'd still be playing basketball right now. So, I don't think that the goal was to go star hunting. It's like, no, find a couple pieces off the bench, find a 4 that can actually play, and honestly run it back. I think that's the best plan at hand.
Yeah, if you ask somebody what's the main reason you guys got bounced in the second round, it was because Joel Embiid got hurt. I mean, that's just the end of the day. We're not gonna win without Joel Embiid. The Patriots couldn't win without Tom Brady. Whatever it is, the best player, he's gone. You're not winning an NBA championship if Joel Embiid's hurt. So it really doesn't matter who's the things outside of that. And you're right. If you imagine Joel being healthy still, it would come down to how deep the team is and how strong, at least the 8-man rotation is. Like when we had a strong 5-man sometimes, and then you got like when your guy coming off the bench is George Niang, who's he might give you 18, he might give you 0 and give up 40 on the other end. Like it's like so many players that we liked. And then we really realized, like, oh, my God, this guy probably wouldn't be playing this many minutes on any other NBA team.
No, I mean, George Niang was our solidified 6th man, and he was one of the worst players in the playoffs. And he could barely move. And it was like he was like a slower, fatter Davis Bertans. Like a Davis Bertans, when he's on the floor, if he's not making 5 threes for you, don't. Like literally get him out of the building. He's not doing anything.
Well, that's
literally what the
trade. That's why the Tobias trade is so important, because you get back a guard and you can move Maxey to your bench, and now you fix that problem. So now it's like it's automatically deeper, and that's what we're like. Listen, I would run it back with what we have and try to add on and get creative. Sure, I mean I got no problem with that way either. I'm not one way or the other. Right, like I'm good with running it back and fixing some of the issues, right? But the biggest issue is we're too slow. So how do you fix that? Well, I fix that by 2 ways. I go get a faster player in Zach LaVine, who I'm not a big fan of, but a faster player, a more athletic player than Tobias Harris. And now I move my fastest guy off my pine, which the fastest guy off my pine is always going to equal instant offense, because I got guys that ain't even stretched out yet coming and playing versus him, right? I got guys just ripped the warm-ups off. So I mean, it's always gonna play better. So that's the biggest way to get your bench better, like just on the surface, a quick fix, right? That's a quick fix. And there's other ways that are longer fixes, like you're talking about, that hey, you got to get creative this offseason, and you got to really hit the market for the right fits and some more athletic players, because that's what it comes down to. We weren't athletic enough, and Joel Embiid was hurt. It's as simple as that. Joel Embiid being hurt's the number one reason, like DJ said.
Yeah, you were bottom of the barrel into 2 categories that scream athleticism: rebounding and transition defense. They were like the worst in the league at both of those, or second to last or third to last. And it's like that's pretty obvious, because you got Danny Green, George Niang, like Furkan Korkmaz for 4 straight months. The guy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and he still got every minute off the bench until I guess Doc got berated enough to stop playing him. I don't know. But there was just too many unathletic guys that can't jump over a pencil. And you don't realize it in the regular season so much. And as soon as you start playing those athletic playoff teams that have a strategic defense, you just get exposed. We got exposed really badly, really quickly. Yeah.
40 boy. I mean, yeah, I still don't know if I like him. I'm just thinking. Thanks for a super chat again, brother. Keep them coming, family.
Kind of a stat. It's hard to judge Levine. It's like, is he a stat patter or is he a really good player? Because you're like, he's played on bad teams. He puts up numbers, but do the numbers matter that much when it really comes down to it? Because you saw games with the Bulls where it looked like he was kind of just taking shots away from DeMar DeRozan at times. Where, and it's like, does he fit next to him? Maybe the Bulls feel like he doesn't fit entirely, and we need to upgrade our defense. And maybe in a perfect world, they say, hey, we'll take Thybulle and Tobias. You can have this guy. I would do that trade, but yeah, I don't know about Levine. It's hard to judge him really.
Yeah, it's like, would he be? You would think he would be better alongside Embiid, and it would kind of take the pressure off of him from like, okay, when he was with the Wolves and when he was obviously with Chicago, he's had to at times, feel the need to shoot them out of games. That's when they've gotten in that situation. You would think just on the surface he doesn't need to do that with an Embiid team and with a Harden team. Like, that's the thing. Harden would still be here. Maxey would still be here. So it's like, you have other guys where, listen, if you don't have it tonight, Zach, okay, stop shooting. Stop shooting. Like, that's the problem when, like, Tom, you and I have talked about this so many times where it's hard to judge guys on bad teams because they have to shoot. They have to score because there's nobody else. Their scores would be in the 50s if they weren't just constantly shooting.
The Michael Carter Williams effect.
Yes.
Right? It's the effect of like a guy that like somebody's going to score on a bad team. So are they really good if they're not winning? And that's been my biggest criticism for Levine for years is like, dude, they don't make the playoffs and people are telling me this guy's a great player. Like, I don't care about you averaging 27 a game. If your team can't make a postseason when eight teams get in, are you good enough? Like, are you good enough when like one player should be able to get you in the dance? So are you just a loser? So I mean, there's probably better names out there for Tobias that maybe you could do. And listen, we'll have plenty of time to discuss that as it continues to move forward. And if you bring it back, then again, you have to get really creative with not only your bench, but the athleticism side that we're talking about it. I mean, you got to go fix the holes. And the holes, like DJ said, you're getting out rebounding and you ain't getting back on defense. Well, listen, part of that's an energy and effort thing. And another thing is go get the guys that are going to give you the energy and effort to do that. Daniel Hill with a super chat. Levine reminds me of Sexton when the Cavs were bad. Good score that looks good on a bad team. We need a solid 8-man rotation. Hope Harden takes less. That's the thing. You got to pray that Harden takes less. Got to pray. And boys, I guess we can probably save Eagles for another night too. They're not going anywhere.
Fine with me. Another thing.
Want to do a quick runaround on them real fast. It's up to you guys.
We can do that. Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for anything.
All right, we'll just do this with the Eagles. All right, right now, gun the heads. Okay, here they are. Hypothetical gun to your therapist's head. You don't do that. Love Couples Retreat. Love it. Great movie. So, some guys are schedule junkies. DJ, I'm not that guy. Like, you have expectations for a team. How many games are you going to win? Right? People are like, oh, I like to go over the schedule. I'm going to go over the schedule in June. Grow up, Peter Pan. Because, listen, I can have Green Bay and Rodgers gets hurt. So that's a win. All right? Jordan Love stinks. So miss me with, like, going over each game and saying, this is a win. This is a loss. Like, do that right before a season starts. I get it. Right?
Either way, there's going to be games they should win that they totally don't win, and everyone is up in arms, so you can't predict it at all anyway. But
can't do it. How many wins do they have, guys?
Is that where we're going?
11.
I'm calling 9.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Because I think we upgraded things and everyone's going to get very overly excited. And, Tom, you might be overly excited in my opinion. I don't know. I haven't heard your takes, actually, on what the Eagles look like this year after what they've done so far. But I just don't see them. I see them winning the same amount of games because I see them winning kind of the same way they won last year, offensively at least. Like defensively, maybe they don't give up 50 to the Cowboys or something because they've improved the linebacker position. They have more edge rushers. They added the big kid from Georgia, Jordan Davis. I just think the safety is still a question for me. I don't know if Bradberry he had a terrible year with the Giants last year, but was a Pro Bowler the year before that. So I don't know if that was just the Giants were awful and he wanted out, or he didn't, but at the same time, wouldn't you play better to try to get a contract at almost 30 years old? There's too many question marks for me. I see improvement on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't see if Jalen Hurts comes out and starts throwing dimes, I'm going to be like, I was wrong. That's cool with me. I would love to be wrong. I just see us winning games by running the ball a lot like we did last year, and then when it comes down to playing good defenses that force you to throw from the pocket, it's an for me.
Listen, biggest elephant in the room. All right, so when I look at this roster, I think this roster is an A roster, right? I mean, I look at the front seven, which is really what I dive into with it. I mean, I got problems up there. I got guys that create major problems for you offensively. I mean, I have a guy in the middle of my defense, right, that you cannot run the football now. Just to give everybody a heads up. Good luck running the football in the middle of our defense. Not going to happen. So I'm going to make you one-dimensional. You're going to have to run outside. I got linebackers now that can move. Kaiser White can move, and we already know our boy can move. All right, because Nakobe Dean is a smart football player, an athletic football player, and the biggest steal of the NFL draft, by the way. Right? There's certain guys this is going out on a limb. The biggest steal of the NFL draft. And he gets to play behind his boy, too. Haason Reddick is a problem. We already know that, listen, Fletch was down last year, but right, Fletch and Hargrave are still really good football players. The upgraded linebackers, the ability to have a guy that can actually play in Bradberry next to Slay. It almost gives you a little bit of a Steven Nelson maybe upgrade, hopefully. So, I mean, I don't want to pick the same number, but
no, I'll go down to 10 because I'll just go down to 10 because I'm more comfortable with 10. So you can stay at 11.
Yeah, I'm 11 and I'm a potential 12 if he can throw the football. Like you could be talking 12, 13 if he can throw the football. I'm at 11 without him being able to throw the football.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It does make sense. I mean, I undershoot him ever since
Thanks.
Like watching the Eagles my whole life, I guess I just grew to undershoot them in the offseason. Like I'm gonna go with this, so I'm not let down. So I was at 5 last year, and they got 9. So I can only be happy about it. I can't be let down.
That is true. That's a great mindset to have. Yeah, I'm gonna retract my 11 and go down to 10. It's funny. As soon as I said 11 out loud, like I thought to myself, I'm like, did I just really say 11? Because I don't remember the last time I predicted 11 wins for the Eagles. So I'll just go 10. There's a ton of positives, right? And I agree with all of them. And the one thing with Bradberry, DJ, with the Giants, and I'll have to double check this, but I know the reason why he was out. He wanted out and he didn't have a good year. It's because either they played zone and he more fits what the Eagles do. I don't know if it was exactly zone, but the most layman terms possible. They do something in New York that he's not good at with the cornerbacks. He didn't fit it, so they think that's why he had a bad year. What he does best, the Eagles also do, so he's more of a fit here. That's what I've read. Whether or not that pans out, that's to be seen. I just look at it on the surface that we made a similar move last offseason where we made like a veteran, second cornerback move, and that was with Steven Nelson. I think it would be safe to say he's better than Steven Nelson. So automatically I'm like, okay, you needed a body, you got him. And then you picked up Jimmy Moreland, who's just a guy, but they tried picking up like 3 times. And now you add him behind that for more depth. So now you may never need to see like a Zach McPherson, whatever his freaking name is. Like, awesome. Great. Because 2 weeks ago, we had no cornerbacks. You're telling me in the last 10 days, we've added 2 and 2 guys that we've been targeting for a couple of years. Awesome. Great. And they both could be better than Steven Nelson, who I don't think Steven Nelson was that bad. Like, if you would have told me at the beginning of the offseason, oh, Nelson's going to come back on a similar deal to play cornerback too, I wouldn't be thrilled, but I wouldn't be throwing things to the TV. I'd be like, okay, fine. Because we just needed somebody there.
Yep.
I think another big determination is two things, right? And you can label them as concerns or questions. A big determination is what Brandon Graham's going to look like. An aging player coming off of a major injury. Right now, he's a starter on one of the edges. And I know they play a rotation and everything, but
Yeah, but he doesn't have to be. You have two guys that are capable of starting sitting right there, too.
Barnett and Sweat.
Yeah, I mean, Barnett started football games. I'm not a Derek Barnett guy, but I'm just making the point. Like anything you're putting on the other side of Reddick and putting alongside Cox, Hargrave, Jordan Davis is going to create. They're going to give free runs. They're going to get the ability of one-on-ones. They're going to be both Sweat and Barnett are good pass rushers. So that mixture of like those other two guys mixing in doesn't put as much pressure on it. But listen, the Achilles is a 2-year injury before you see a guy at his full strength. So like any expectation for Brandon Graham is too much. Like it's like, hey, go play. And if you're good, great. If you're back, great. If not, then we understand it. We appreciate everything you've done. So listen, I think these guys are a little crazy in the chat. I want to believe this kid's going to get better in terms of Jalen's expectations. I want to believe he's a hard worker. He's a great locker room guy. Listen, when you got two receivers at this level and a tight end, that's a pretty good tight end, you need to be able to show me you can throw the football now. I was willing to give you this year because I know what's coming out next year. My expectations, and I want your guys, and then we'll sign off. 1 out of 10, in terms of your confidence level, more than I say expectations. And Jalen Hurts having showing us he can progress at being able to stay in the pocket, go through reads. What's your confidence level on that? I'm right around like a 7. I want to believe it's going to happen, so I'm going to go a little high on it because I believe he's going to work at it. Let's see if it comes to fruition.
Does I want to believe mean that you believe, though?
No.
It sounds like you want to be optimistic because you would like for it to happen.
I've seen seen him play.
The deficiencies that he has are just things that have been there his entire career as a quarterback, and I love the kid. He's a great kid. He's a stand-up guy. He's a professional. He doesn't do anything. Literally, you'll never see him in any legal troubles. I would bet a lot of money on that. I just think he's a great person. I just don't think he's a good quarterback. It's just too much for me. The late throws, the running from clean pockets, the easy slants thrown behind, in front, at the floor, and missing deep balls by 20 yards, and then throwing one on the money out of nowhere. And I'm so confused that I can't. I don't see it happening. Sadly, I hope I'm wrong again, but I think Howie Roseman set this up perfectly to give him the best shot possible this season to prove it. And next season, now you got not just a bunch of weapons, but still a bunch of young weapons, and you can bring a young quarterback in that you draft, or you can maybe something crazy happens and there's a big trade scenario, and somebody's like, hey, look, these guys have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and a good offensive line. I'll go there. So I think he set it up perfectly for both scenarios. My confidence level for Jalen Hurts is a 2.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
I got
Daniel, sorry. Thank you for the super chat. He says, I do think Jalen needs to improve because he dropped some penalties, cost us 2 games. He went from regular to AJ. It's a big difference for me. Yeah, I think the big difference for everybody, brother. And I think we're all in the same boat. He does need to improve. I'm more of like, I think the 2 is where like is more realistic, honestly, because he's been who he's been his entire career.
My confidence level is like a 6 at most. The couple things that I just can't get past, and again, does he have every opportunity to fix those things? Sure. I don't think they're very hard things to fix, because those things that are glaring are, listen, how many times did he have a clean pocket and he ran out of the pocket like it was collapsing, like it was the 2019 Eagles offensive line that Wentz had to deal with? Like, no, this was a very good offensive line, one of the best. Like, you need to stay in there and actually go through progressions. Stop running around like you're playing for the Houston Texans and you have to run for your life. You don't need to do that here. The second thing is, and listen, I'm ecstatic about A.J. Brown and getting, more weapons and having Dallas and a second-year Devontae Smith and all that. But I can't get past the fact that how many times was Devontae Smith, just him, wide open, and he didn't use them? So, I know people could say, oh, well, it's lazy to say, oh, you have weapons, but you can't throw to them. You literally didn't throw to him. So I like the idea of A.J. Brown along with Devontae and feeding off of each other and Dallas being the third option, which is awesome, and then having running backs being able to catch and whatever. But if your guys aren't open and then they are open and you're not throwing it to them, what's the freaking point? So as far as an expectation, honestly, if you can get him to around, anywhere from 15 to 20th best quarterback in the NFL, I even feel like I'm being hot with 50. Anywhere in that 17 overall quarterback range, and your defense is as advertised and nothing crazy happens, I think you're going to be in a really good spot to win this division. It's not like we're asking him to go out and be an MVP. No, use your weapons and don't turn the football over. Literally, we're asking you to be a game manager, which is extremely light expectations, especially in a city like this. So I'm going in with very manageable expectations. He just has to show me that he's going to be able to do the easy stuff.
Well, I think the expectations are higher for him. I mean, he's got to show he's a franchise quarterback with all this talent around him, so they don't go draft one the next year, which would happen if he shows he's not the franchise quarterback. His issues have been the same issue since college. He's been a one-look and go guy. It's hard to break those tendencies when a guy's that athletic. So Kenny, and that's going to be the question mark. Reading defenses isn't as much as him being smart enough to. He's so used to and so programmed to be able to get by with legs, and that becomes a problem. And maybe this year, he calms himself down in the pocket a little bit. We'll see. We'll find out. Listen, this was a ton of fucking fun. So
absolutely,
can't wait for next Monday. Do it again. We're gonna be rocking with you, everybody. Make sure if you haven't, subscribe to Run It Back Philly over on YouTube, Instagram. I don't know if are you over. I mean, your personal's over on Facebook, but I don't know. Do you have it?
I don't do much. I don't do anything on Facebook. Really.
Yeah, Facebook guy. Not a Facebook guy. Twitter though. Run It Back Philly. I hate Twitter. I despise it.
Twitter is the most. Somebody in the chat this whole time was calling me negative. Twitter is the most negative thing you could ever be a part of. If you want to hate something, just go search it on Twitter. They'll tell you why it sucks. It doesn't matter what it is.
Just search keyword hate, and you'll find just a ton of comments people's posts. So that's how that goes.
Yeah.
So listen, we'll do it again next Monday. Every Monday, 10 p.m. Make sure you turn your alerts on, hit the like, hit the subscribe over on A2D as well, and do it everywhere, baby. We appreciate all the super chats. Soon, you guys keep bringing them. Soon, guess what happens? We're in the club with Harden, and we get to have a sit down with them. Talk them into less money. It's up to you guys. So time's yours. That's Ryan Brodo. That's DJ Eastwood. Run It Back Philly. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody, can't thank you enough. Tons of comments. Tons of viewers. Love you all. And just keep praying. Just give us 1 year of a healthy Joel Embiid.
1 year is all we need. 1 year.
We're not selfish. We're also givers. All right? We're givers here, too. We're just asking just one trip down the road. Just one. You take his knees out after. We're